Call the meeting to order. Good morning to everyone.
Good morning.
Hope everyone had a good weekend. And I think we're supposed to see some sunshine tomorrow. Do we have anyone sign up to speak? Okay, we jumped right into the agenda. We didn't have anyone to sign up for public comment this morning. So if you would review the minutes of the commission meeting of September 15th, the work session minutes of September 14th, and the executive session minutes of September 14th. Please review those before tomorrow. We have a number of proclamations, I think. The first one being a proclamation proclaiming the week of October 4th through 10th as Fire Prevention Week in Douglas County. And Scott, I don't think we could catch anything on fire right now. It's all too wet.
I certainly hope not. If we do, it's going to be on fire.
Okay. You going to read that tomorrow?
Yes, sir.
All right, good, thank you. Under tab 5, a proclamation proclaiming November 1st, 2016 as Retired Educators Day in Douglas County. Pat Flickinger is going to be here to read that proclamation. Under tab 6, a proclamation proclaiming the month of October as National Domestic Violence Awareness Month in Douglas County, and Teresa Smith will read that proclamation. We will have a public hearing to consider the abandonment and declare as surplus property unimproved right-of-way known as Betsy Avenue and a portion of Leela Drive located in land lot number 990 containing 0.675 acres. Randy, you want to talk about that a little bit?
Mr. Chairman, we're ready to proceed.
Ready to go? Okay. Under tab 8, under the county administrator business, authorization for the chairman to sign financial advisor engagement letter with First Tryon regarding the Foxhall intergovernmental agreement. Mark.
We got a price from Michael McDonald, and I think it's a maximum of $8,000. I don't think it'll reach that. It's a maximum of $2,000 a month, and it's just to review the financial.
It won't take us 4 months to do that.
No, sir.
One comments or questions? Yes, Mr. Roberts.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just as a confirmation, so Michael McDonald was involved in being instrumental in the prior financial review process. So we're re-engaging him to help us through this next phase of the IGA.
Yes, sir.
Very good. Do we know when that process will officially commence, or how long it'll take? I know the chairman just stated that it will only take, it shouldn't take as long as it's stated, but you have any idea what the process is about?
Well, we're meeting with them today at 3 o'clock to review to go over the IGA.
First idea.
Yes. So that'll be the first meeting to discuss any possible changes or revisions.
Well, I guess out of that meeting, we'll get a little bit more information.
Yes, sir.
Will Mr. McDonald be present at this meeting?
Yes, sir.
Okay. No further questions, Mr. Chairman.
Any other comments or questions? Under tab 9, under business, authorization to amend the state court's other professional services budget by $12,800 to cover court reporters, assistant judges, and interpreters. Judge Demery.
Well, this is like we have done before for the last probably 4 or 5 years. It's hard to come up with an exact number in the budget. We don't know until about this time every year between the budget process and our trying to figure out exactly where we're going to be. We usually end up needing some to finish. Most of this is going to be for court reporters. We've had to have a court because of the probation issues, the way that law has changed and the things we have to do now. We have to have about twice as much probation at that court, which is what I've got going on right now, than we used to have. And so that has run up our court reporters fee. This is primarily for court reporters.
Questions of the judge? Yes, sir.
It's a general question, but again, if you know what drives this is really crime, right? To a certain extent, we can't forecast how crime works, so we budget the best we can. When we get down to the end of the year, we sort of adjust in. Is that what we're hearing?
Kind of, yeah. It's a little more complex than just how much crime, it's how much we get to court.
Okay.
And we've gotten more to court and had more court days than we, at the end of the budget process, were allocated, essentially. We try to anticipate it. We put what we think, as y'all do with a lot of things, y'all cut it, and then we come back once we see exactly, or as exactly as we can. past what we've done it this year, we try to make sure that we don't have to come back again. So there may be some cushion in this. If it is, we won't spend it.
To work together with us. I mean, I understand, and appreciate, and I wasn't trying to make it
But
absolute.
it's really hard to anticipate. As an example, there's a case that all the judges are recused on, that Judge House is scheduled to try, but it may be settled before about 2 weeks from now. If that's the case, then we won't need him for a week-long trial. So there'll be some left over then. It's just hard to anticipate court much more than we do. I think we and y'all and with Mark's help do pretty well. Because we try to keep it as tight as we can. And by doing that, sometimes we have to come back and get more.
No, I appreciate it, Judge. Just thank you for the clarity. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for the question.
And back to court now.
Okay. Under tab 10, authorization to accept a Victims of Crime Act BOC continuation grant in the amount of $105,283 from the Prosecuting Attorney's Council and Georgia Crime Justice Coordinating Council, and authorize the chairman to sign all necessary documents. And the budget, Laura.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Yes, so this is our continuation grant that we've had for many years, and it's just authorizing you to sign the documents.
Okay, any questions? Thank you.
Good, thank y'all.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Under tab 11, authorization to accept an award for the JAG grant in the amount of $15,994. Amend the budget and authorize the chairman to sign all related documents. No match required.
That's right.
Good morning.
I have the next three, so. This is the JAG grant, the Justice Assistance Grant, in the amount of $15,994. There's no match. And we use this funding to pay for children to have activities. They get mentoring or tutoring, those types of things, so that we can get them in a positive activity.
Any comments or questions? Thank you.
All right. The next one is our Family Dependency Treatment Court. They have provided some additional funding for us to be able to apply for. I have not written the application yet. It's due the end of October, but I wanted to go ahead and get it on the agenda for the approval to write the grant, and then I'll come back and request approval for the award and the amount that we end up getting. Mark and I had talked, and I'm gonna guess around 40,000 is what I'll write for. There's a 10% match, which would be $4,000, but it would not start until January 1.
Okay. And you've had this in your budget, then I assume, right?
It was not in my budget for next year because I didn't know we were gonna get it.
Okay. How do you handle that, Mark?
We'll have to add it into next year's. And then the max was what, 4,000?
4,000, if it's
At the
even that
most.
much, I may not even write that much, I'm not sure.
Yes, ma'am.
Jenny, could you explain family dependency treatment?
Basically, it's a family drug court.
Okay.
It runs much like, or similar to the ones, the felony drug court, DUI court, except for we're working with parents who have child dependency cases filed against them, and their children are probably in foster care or have been placed with relatives. And so we have a drug court program that the parents can sign up for that lasts for 18 months. And they have different phases they have to go through, different requirements they have to go through. And we help get them in treatment and monitor them and drug screen them, and keep up with them much like we do with the DUI courts.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
And the next one is funding from the Criminal Justice Coordinating Council. This is a grant we've gotten before. There is no match. It starts October 1, and it's in the amount of $48,696. We use this funding to pay for the positive action program that we send the delinquent kids through that are low risk. And they go to the Danny Center, and they have classes there 2 nights a week, and it's like an 18-week long program.
Okay, questions? Ms. McDaniel?
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Under tab 14, authorization to advertise for a public hearing to modify section 5-31A Douglas County Code of Ordinances on rabies vaccination frequency requirements. Mr. Peacock.
Yes, sir. Currently, our ordinance states that animals will be vaccinated once each year by a licensed veterinarian. There are new rabies vaccinations that are available that the state now allows one vaccination for every 3 years. So what we're trying to do is get our ordinance in line with the state so that if we have a resident that has his animal vaccinated outside Douglas County and gets the 3-year vaccination, that we're not requiring him to get an annual vaccination here in Douglas County.
Okay. Any questions, Mr. Mulkey?
Is there some indication on the tag whether it's a 1-year vaccination or a 3-year vaccination?
There will be, yes, sir.
Okay, that's all I'm saying.
And I just wanted, I think that Mr. Robinson was hand up was next.
All right, yeah, real quick.
And I'll-
How many vaccinations goes for dogs and cats, right?
Yes, sir.
Right. And how many animals do we currently have in the shelter today?
Today we have about 50 dogs and about 60 cats.
So, have we had any exposure to rabies within the shelter, or how does that work? I just don't know.
Not within the shelter. There have been, over the past 6 to 8 months, we have seen non-domestic animals, such as coyotes and raccoons, that have had evidence of rabies. And we dispose of the animal when we find it, we trap it and dispose of it.
We feel that we've got sufficient resources to sort of contain this and
Absolutely.
to address it?
Yes, sir, we do.
Mr. Chairman.
So there is a 1-year and a 2-year type vaccination?
1 year and 3 years.
3 year, I'm sorry, 3, okay. And I get, as Vice Chairman said, so there's a distinguished, so you, I guess, how would we man that or police that to assure who's doing what, how, I mean?
The residents are required to provide the shelter, if they live within Douglas County, they have to provide our shelter with evidence each year that their animal has been vaccinated. And so we'll have files set up to show the 1-year vaccination versus the 3-year vaccination. I will say this, there are none of our veterinarians within Douglas County that are using the 3-year vaccination rate. They continue to use the 1 year. It's if somebody moved into the county that had their animal vaccinated outside of the county and did a 3-year, then it's not fair for us to require them to go back in and get annual vaccinations.
And speaking of that, is there a reason why the doctors or vets that are here don't do that? It's just
What they've shared with us is that the vaccine for 3 years is obviously a stronger vaccine, and that there may be side effects, and so they just choose not to use it right now. But it is approved by the state of Georgia. There's an entire list of vendors that provide vaccines, and they're approved by the state agriculture department to be used.
okay, cool. That's all.
Any other comments? At some point in time, and probably not now, but I would like for this board to consider a public hearing to change the way the Animal Control Advisory Board is made up. We wound up with politicians on that board, and that was not the intent when we started, when we formed this board. So at some point in time, I want the board to consider making those changes.
Has Ms. Fulton submitted to you the latest draft of their bylaws?
No, sir, I haven't seen it.
Okay, and that's actually
Gonna have it?
That's actually gonna,
Is it in there?
it's gonna change. They're gonna be offering you some language to change their bylaws, to do just what you said.
Okay, good. I haven't seen that yet. Okay. Under tab 15, authorization to award a contract to 10-8 Fire and Safety Equipment of Georgia, LLC, for the purchase of a new ambulance transport unit at a total cost of $138,886, and authorizing the chairman to sign all related documents. Mr. Peacock.
Yes, sir. We advertised for an additional transport unit. The due date for the bid was September the 11th. We had 3 bids turned in. We provided you with a copy of the bid tabulation. The bids were evaluated by purchasing and by the fire department, and we're recommending that the bid be awarded to 10-8 for the 138,886, and ask for your approval.
Okay, comments, questions from the board? Yes, sir, Mr. Ross.
Yeah, thank you, sir. So just want to clarify, so this is being funded out of our 2002 SPOS, or how are we funding this? No,
No, it's out of contingencies.
it is contingency.
Yes, sir.
Right. So we have no other funds that are in the 2002 that would go to this. This is purely
That's correct.
current budget financing. All right, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Good question, Commissioner. I'm glad you brought that up because there's no O2 money left for capital improvements for fire and EMS, and that's a decision we got to take. We got to take a look at that issue and decide if we want to go to the public and ask once again when this present SPOS expires, if this public would like to support a SPOS that would provide that capital expenditures for the fire and EMS department. Yes, ma'am.
I don't know who to address this to, I guess you. We had trouble with some of the ambulances running hot and in the idle stage and everything. And there were a lot of negative comments about the 6-cylinder. You know what I'm talking about? It was the Ford, I think.
You don't
Is
have the
this-
6 cylinders.
Is this?
The E-Series units, which this is an E-Series unit, but it's a gasoline burner, so we hope that's gonna take care of the overheating issues. The problem
It was
is,
a diesel that was
Yes, ma'am.
overheating? Okay.
that's all we run right now are diesels. The E-Series has the van front end on it, which is a smaller compartment, so the heat can't dissipate as well as in the pickup style cabs. But the delivery date for chassis on the pickup trucks are almost a year out. So the E-Series, the van type, that's gonna get us an ambulance quicker.
That's available now.
Yeah, well, I mean, I just wanna make sure that we don't get something that's slipping off all the time, because it like some of the others, so that was the main thing.
Well, and all I can say is, when we bought ambulances before, we bought them under good faith that they were gonna operate, and then the engine in those ambulances,
I think
was
Ford
limited.
changed their model, I think,
That-
yeah.
but they did not make that engine, that they didn't take care of us once those engines started having problems.
Yeah.
So, it's definitely a Ford issue. But like I said, these are gasoline engines. We can replace a gasoline engine at about a third of the cost of a diesel engine, so, if we ever have to do that. Hopefully, we'll never have to do that.
Didn't I see that there was some more coming down the road? Is this the last one that we're gonna get this year?
I would like to recommend we buy 2. There's 2
I
available.
saw something, did you do an email to us?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yeah, there was only one that was approved to go out to bid for, so that's what we put on the agenda. Now, they do have another one available, and we're recommending we go ahead and buy 2.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
There's been a lot of misinformation about our ambulance service on the street, and I can't let this meeting go without bringing that up. It's not all been about ambulances in service. It's been about a union that the fire department has and we don't recognize. So a lot of information. Do we have some vehicles down? Yes, we did. But that's going to happen, folks. You're going to have vehicles in the shop that continually, as many miles as we put on these vehicles, you're going to have some problems. But again, we're providing good service to the citizens of Douglas County. The zones that we have are probably smaller than any of the zones in metropolitan Atlanta. We're only 200 square miles. So we're providing good service, and I hate for misinformation to get out on the street. So we're doing what we can to provide the capital equipment. But again, in the long run, over the next 10 years, it'll be difficult to finance capital projects out of our general fund budget. So, again, it's a decision that we have to make, whether we're going to ask the public to support the SPLOST to provide these capital expenditures. All right. Under tab 16, authorization to award a contract to RP Paving Solutions for the repair, sealing, and striping of the courthouse parking lot at a cost of $52,375.21, and authorize the chairman to sign all related documents. Mr. Peacock.
Yes, sir. Again, this was bid out in August. The due date was August the 18th. We had 5 bids received. The bid tabulation's been provided to you. We met with several of the paving companies that came out on site and walked the site with Mr. Mark Price. After a couple of those meetings, it was determined that we needed to expand the work that we were asking to do to include crack filling because of some of the larger cracks. And so we went back out to the vendors and had them provide us some additional quotes. That's why you see 2 different prices on the tabulation. We feel that RP Paving can provide a very good job for us. They showed an expanded knowledge of kind of what would be needed to make the courthouse parking lot last for a longer time once we do this work. And so we're recommending that RP Paving be awarded the contract for $52,375.21.
Any comments or questions?
I have one.
I'm sorry you didn't sign up before the meeting. That's the requirement. Okay. Ms. Mulkey.
Not specifically about the paving, but about the conditions of, we'll call it the courtyard out front here. And previously I brought up the appearance of some of the pavers delaminating across the top. And the opinion was rendered that it was probably just due to weather. So I took another look at it, and I don't think that's probably the case because it seems to be localized closer up towards the courthouse. You get further away from the courthouse, and there's none of this delamination that's taking place. So what I'm curious about is it possible that some of the temporary structures that are put out on the courtyard, tents and tent poles and so forth, over the years' time, are they possibly what's breaking the surface of those bricks and making it look very unsightly and unattractive? Because it's not generally over the entire area. It's pretty localized, close to the front door. So I would just not ask for a response, but just to double check that and see if there's some other cause besides weather, just because of the location of the damaged bricks. I appreciate you doing that. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
And we do have.
You're welcome to comment. I'm not
That's right.
cutting you off.
We do have a budget request to replace the pavers and seal them so that there's no further damage done.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, any other comments or questions? Thank you. Under tab 17, authorization to accept the 2015 Georgia Wellness Grant in the amount of $5,000 from ACCG, which is the Association of County Commissioners of Georgia, and amend the budget. Mr. Perry.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, we made application for this grant in June, and the ACCG board has accepted our application, they granted us the funds, and we just asked that we receive authorization to receive those funds so we can move forward with some wellness initiatives.
So you had a lot of interest in it.
Yes.
Any comments or questions? Yes, Mr. Mulkey.
Just quickly, I'm on that board at ACCG that I guess oversees these grants, although I'm not involved directly. I want to make that disclaimer. So I don't know who's going to get the grants, but the fact is that ACG has proffered over the life of the program, I think about $1.5 million to this grant program across the state. And the good thing about it is, obviously this comes from money that will come into ACG from the counties. But the fact is, it's a proven method across the country, not just here in Georgia, that these wellness programs contribute an actual return in terms of reduced health costs. And so I'm very proud that you headed up and the counties continue to participate in this wellness program. I also thank Matt Laverne in the past. And I think it's a great thing for our employees and a good thing for our insurance premiums. So that's all, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, any other comments? All right. Under tab 18, authorization to enter into a professional services agreement with Georgia Administrative Services for workers' compensation services with regard to consulting, claims adjustment, medical billing, and excess coverage placement, and authorize the chairman to sign all related documents pending final legal review. Mr. Laverne.
Yes, sir. Mr. Chairman, we've been with, or Douglas County has been with Affinity Service Group. They're located off Windy Hill, actually in Atlanta, or Marietta, right at the line there. But unfortunately, they have recently been bought out by a large construction company. As a result, we need to transfer this small portion of business over to a firm for these services, such as claims adjustment, claims consulting, medical bill review, excess binding, and other nominal needs as required as a self-insured workers' comp program. After a close review by myself, I've come to recommend that this lateral transfer of services. It's no more and really no less. We are getting a few extra things by going with this new firm, but I would recommend going with Georgia Administrative Services to meet these needs as required by law. There are several reasons that I make these recommendations, to include that they were the cheapest of those that I looked at. Now, in the past, we've spent up to about $12,500 a year for their administrative services. This is going to $19,500, and I understand or realize that it's a substantial increase as far as percentage goes, but we need to keep in mind that I've held them at that $12,500 for the last 6 years without allowing any increases to those administrative services. So this proposal is, it does meet our needs, and it is appropriate. Just looking at the numbers, our next closest one I looked at was a little over $37,000 in change for their admin fees. We're looking for a provider in the local Atlanta metropolitan area that does know our medical providers, knows our specialties at Emory, just in case we ever need those services. And this Georgia Administrative Services, they do a few things better than even our current provider does. For example, telephone management, which is talking to doctors on the phone and that kind of thing. If we need them to do that, need an RN to do that, for example. Those are free of charge, whereas before we were paying for them. Another reason for this recommendation is that Georgia Admin Services has a close and transparent relationship with the State Board of Workers' Compensation. So we'll continue to be able to maintain our transparent working relationship with them and how claims are managed. Another benefit is that they work with Swift, Curry, and McKee very closely, which is our current workers' comp firm. And Jim Johnson has done a terrific job for us, and he is going to continue to be our attorney under this new relationship or model if approved by the board. There's a variety of other reasons, but just finally, the data conversion. It's very similar. Their data is set up very similar to the way ours is. All right, so it's going to be very few changes, and I see an error-free or close to conversion if we make this, but we have to be online with it by January 1. So I'm proposing that we enter into a professional services agreement with Georgia Administrative Services for that reason.
Okay, comments, questions from the board? Mr. Mosley.
Mr. Teal, have you reviewed the program?
Discussed it with Matt.
Okay, you got some detailed discussion?
Yes, sir.
So you're satisfied with it?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, Mr. Robbins, you have a question?
Thank you. It was more of a, so to make sure I understood that I heard right, that we're outsourcing it in the way we do it today, and we're going with a professional service provider, or I missed that part?
No, sir. We're remaining self-insured.
Right.
All right, but this service provides a variety of nominal services that we have to provide per the State Board of Workers' Compensation. For example, excess binding, we have to be insured up to certain limits, all right, as being a self-insured pool, or a self-insured employer. So they provide, there are groups out there that provide a lot more services, all right? You start getting into, and there's a variety of them out there that would like to come in and put it under a fully insured policy and then handle all the claims, for example, and that kind of thing. There are fewer that actually handle self-insured, because there's less money in it.
Which brings me to my point, was there, I mean, it's not, should we have brought it in-house, or is it really, that's not the way about going about doing this? The practice in the industry is typically, you outsource this function.
Yes, sir, because we're really outsourcing, now I'm a certified workers' comp professional, but we're really outsourcing the claims adjustment as well as the RN case review on this and the excess binding. Okay, so those are the three things that we're really outsourcing here. And those three specialties, from Richmond, Augusta to Athens, Clark to Cobb, Fulton, all of your larger counties in Georgia are going to go with this model. So that those are the only three things that are outsourcing, because we wouldn't have a need to bring in an RN or a licensed adjuster, or a broker to broker that excess binding in, that excess coverage.
I think I get it. All right, so we outsource and we got this third party. It does do a separation in certain cases, especially when you're dealing with negotiation, et cetera. Again, I just want to make sure I understood why we were doing it this way, but you've answered my question. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Any other comments or questions? Thanks, Matt. Okay, under number 19, authorization to approve an agreement with Who's Who LLC to utilize the old courthouse and the old jail located in downtown Douglasville, and authorize the chairman to sign all related documents. I don't think Chris is here. You know, we're becoming the Southeast Hollywood here, yeah, because we're doing so many movies here in town. This is another series we're going to do, and I read in the paper where there's going to be a Netflix job done. It's at the old city hall downtown Douglasville, so we continue to have the people come out here and do movies. So all this is a contract, and Martin, you might want to help me out here. And Ken as well. So we have the hold harmless agreement in there as well. We're charging $1,000 for each. Is that for each
This is
facility?
not,
Or-
yeah, this one was the original agreement that we had. It didn't contain the changes that Sony wanted for the Netflix.
Okay, that's the
Yeah,
that's
this is
the
the
one.
original.
Okay. But we're doing more movies
And
here.
it was $1,000 for the old jail and $1,000 for the courthouse, I believe, there was two of them.
You know, if we continue to get popular doing movies out here, we might take a look at increasing our rates. Maybe we're too
That's
cheap.
what I was thinking.
I saw what the city's charging the same thing we are, though, so maybe we're not. All right, that concludes our agenda. We do need an executive session to discuss personnel. Anything else?
Litigation and real estate, Mr. Chairman.
Litigation and real estate, all three. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Let's take a 5-minute break.